who could be among the surprise either trade candidates or cut candidates at the cut down this year? Who do you like? There's always some guys. It's easy to go, well, some backup last guy. The guys who are going to get cut are going to get cut. But I went through this exercise and put together a 53-man roster for a video that I did this week. And man, it is going to be really, really difficult to pare down this roster. I mean, really difficult. And there's going to be some good players that will be getting cut from this team. And I'm just kind of, when I looked at the list, I was like, wait a second. I started to see it a little bit differently than I saw it originally. What do you think? Is there, give me a guy that you think that right now, like if you said the name, we'd be like, what? No, but they're going to cut that guy or trade that guy at the deadline or at the cut down.
What about Kinlaw?
Yep.
They just signed Hargrave. So Kinlaw's not going to play much here. And let's say he has a good offseason and plays well in the preseason. A team might be interested. Say, like, hey, we could actually use Javon Kinlaw. We'll trade you another player who hasn't worked out for us and that we've replaced, but you might need. Like, you could trade him for a young D-end or a young offensive tackle. How about Kinlaw? If he shows that he's healthy and has a little value, I mean, the Niners already replaced him.
Yeah, no, he's on my list as well. I had Kinlaw, Ambry Thomas, Charlie Warner. Well, I'll give you the biggest one, though. Juwan Jennings. Now, Juwan Jennings, I don't care what Juwan Jennings looks like at practice. There's people like, well, he dropped a couple balls in practice. I don't care. I don't care that Juwan Jennings isn't a good practice player. I don't care. I don't care. I've seen enough. I know he's a big game guy. But look at receiver. You're loaded. This team's loaded. You're going to go with 3 wide receivers. You're going to go with at least 3 quarterbacks. You're going to go with at least 3 tight ends. You're probably going to go with 10 defensive linemen. You got a can full of running backs. To me, you've got Debo, Ayuk. To me, Ray is going to make it because of the return ability. Danny Gray, I think, is going to make it because of the home run hitting ability. And then that's 4. So that means Juwan Jennings is going up against every other receiver, which includes Chris Conley, Tay Martin, Willie Snead, Ronnie Bell. There's a few others there, but I think Ronnie Bell and Tay Martin are going to play as good or better, and they'll be cheaper. And I think Juwan Jennings could be a trade in August.
I am concerned about Juwan Jennings drops in practice because they happen in games too. Like last year, his drop percentage was 12.5. He had 7 drops on 56 targets. That's way too high for a possession receiver. And what happens is he's running over the middle a lot. He has good hand-eye coordination. He just, I don't know, maybe he turns upfield before he sees the ball into his hands. But a lot of times those passes tip off his hand and get intercepted. There were 3 targets that went his way last year that were intercepted. And when he was targeted last year, the quarterback rating was 68. So yeah, he makes big plays, but at the same time, it's a gamble thrown into him because he drops the ball 12% of the time. That's and so to that point, high. Like, yeah, man, if you could get Ronnie Bell to like catch the freaking ball, then you don't need Juwan Jennings anymore and his drops and his 4.7.
But he's also kind of a fixture in the room. He kind of carries himself like he's a significant player.
He can be great. He can be great. He just needs to be more consistent. End of story.
Yeah.
He can be really good.
I would not be surprised if somehow Bell and Tay Martin beat him out for his spot. Bold prediction. You got a bold prediction for the upcoming season? I've got 2 that stand out to me.
They go through all their quarterbacks again, and they don't win the division.
Wow.
I'm
like
cynical.
Seattle or Rams?
Yeah. Seattle. It's a young team, but Pete Carroll has had a lot of success with young teams before.
And they're going to go through all 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle actually has a decent young offensive line and a quarterback who didn't get hurt last year. And I know Niner fans think he's trash, but he would start for this team. And if Purdy was on that team, Geno would start for that team. So I'm going with Seattle. I'm usually wrong, though, and I'm in a weird mood today. Keep that in mind. Weird.
I'm going to go with J.P. Mason is going to become a primary offensive threat in this offense after a year where he didn't really do anything last year. But you look at his 4.2 yards after contact. You look at his heart. To me, he's in awesome shape. Maybe he weighed 240 last year. To me, he looks like 225, 230 now. He's leaner. He's fast. He's explosive. I know there's a bunch of backs, TDP, Elijah, some rookies. Obviously, there's CMC. But JP Mason, Jordan Mason is going to become a primary ball carrier for the Niners this year. He's going to be a major portion of their offense.
How do the Rams not ever get a running back like him or Mitchell? If they had Mitchell or Mason, they would be legit. But they don't. And so no one really cares about the Rams. I mean, they have no run game. What is their problem? I don't understand that. Anyway, thank goodness the Niners have Bobby Turner. That guy does not get enough credit. I think we should talk about him every single show. He's so important to their. He left for like 6 months. They drafted Ty Davis Price. He came back. He's like, all right, cool. I don't know what you were thinking there, but I'm back. You're welcome.
It's seriously, the most underrated thing that you can have in the NFL are assistant coaches that have great eye for personnel. That's what Bob McKittrick was. That's what Ray Rhodes was. That's what Bobby T is. Mm-hmm. That's what I think Steve Wilkes is. Yep. Johnny Holland. Look at their linebackers.
He does not get enough credit. Johnny Holland could be the best coach in the whole team. He was gone for a year too. I believe he had cancer. Came back. Johnny Holland. Shout out Johnny.
Oh man, You're too young to remember Johnny Holland, but Johnny Holland was great at A&M. All right, give me last one. Yeah, way too young. Yeah. I joked with him about it. I said, Johnny, I'm a big A&M fan, and he's like, gig 'em Aggies. All right. Give me a bust out team. Give me a surprise team in the NFL. One or two that you're like, you know what? Nobody's talking about this team or that team, but this team or that team's gonna take off. What do you got?
Good question. All right. Let's go real deep. How about Chicago? I think they had 3 wins last year, 3 or 4 wins. I'm not saying they're going to win 13 games, but what about them winning 9 or 10? I mean, they added a bunch of players to their offense. They drafted Darnell Wright to play right tackle. I like that. I mean, I don't know about their coaching staff. Chicago's kind of a terrible organization, so I don't know. They feel like maybe a year away, but they could be that team that all of a sudden is the 7th seed. And then in their own division, like Detroit is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They got Jahmyr Gibbs. Clearly they want to have their version of McCaffrey. They got Jack Campbell. I think they think that's their version of Fred Warner. A lot of teams want to be the 49ers. And what Detroit has over the Niners is a really good offensive line with two great tackles and a great center and a quarterback who they can keep healthy. Although he sucks when he's not playing in that dome up there. So I don't know about Detroit, but if they could get the 1 seed and just keep it all in Detroit, maybe.
I'm going Denver in the AFC with Sean Payton. I just think that I think they could reverse their record, from last year. And I like. Well, I'm not a huge McGlinchey guy, but I do like what Denver's done, and I think Denver's already got a pretty good defense. I think Russell will play better. I think Sean Payton is going to make a huge impact there. And the other one, I like Frank Reich. I like Carolina. I think Bryce Young's going to be that young. He's going to be the exception. He's so bright. He's so ready. I think Bryce Young's going to hit the ground running. I like Carolina. They added Adam Thielen at receiver. They've got some underrated receivers. They drafted Jonathan Mingo. They've got a real good tackle in a Conwu. Defensively, you got Brian Burns. You got Derek Brown. You drafted Jamie Robinson. They got J.C. Horn. I like Carolina. I think Carolina's gonna be the team in that division, and I like Denver in the AFC.
Are the Jets too obvious?
No, you saw that thing about the stats where how many the rest deal. The Jets have a rest advantage on like 13 games this year. So obviously,
what if the Super Bowl is Kyle against Salah?
That would be so. The Jets and Adam Shine predicted Jets Niners.
Look at how freaking good their defense was last year.
But he's saying Sam Darnold is going to lead the Niners there.
Wouldn't that be amazing if it was Salah against Darnold? That would be money. Schedule the script makers. That would be something I would do if I were a script maker.
Freaking believable.
No, I think the Jets could definitely be in the Super Bowl this year. They have as good of a defense as anyone, and they have as good of a quarterback as anyone. It's usually a good combination.